There's a moment in every man's life where he gets tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but a soul-deep exhaustion from being disrespected, overlooked, and underappreciated. It happens quietly. One day, you look around and realize you've been bending over backward for people who wouldn't even lean forward for you. You've been texting first, showing up first, caring the most. And what do you get in return? Silence, indifference, confusion. That's the moment. Everything shifts the moment you decide, no more. Because when a man finally starts respecting himself, the entire world responds differently. And that's what we are diving into today. Before self-respect kicks in, a man often confuses effort with value. He chases people who barely acknowledge him. He sticks around in relationships where he's doing all the giving and none of the receiving. He convinces himself that loyalty means staying through. Mistreatment, that being a real man, means fixing things, even when he's not the one breaking them. But when you start respecting yourself, that mindset collapses. You begin to see clearly. That friendship where you're always reaching out? Dead weight. That woman who only responds when she's bored? Emotional leech. That family member who only calls when they need something? One-way transaction. Self-respect teaches you boundaries, not to punish others, but to protect your peace. You start walking away from imbalanced connections without guilt, because you finally realize that your energy is expensive, and not everyone deserves a piece of it. When you don't respect yourself, you over-explain. You feel this constant urge to be understood, to justify your silence, your standards, your decisions. You let people poke holes in your boundaries and then feel bad for setting them. But the man who respects himself stops performing for people who weren't even listening in the first place. He no longer wastes energy trying to be liked. His validation no longer comes from being accepted. It comes from standing firm in his own truth. You stop chasing closure. You stop asking why she ghosted. You stop explaining your worth to people who never had the eyes to see it. And that's when people start noticing, because silence is powerful. Walking away without drama, without begging, without resentment, it leaves people wondering what version of you they just lost. That's the power of self-respect. It's quiet, it's firm, and it leaves an echo. 3. You prioritize purpose over people-pleasing. A man without self-respect will trade his time, focus, and ambition for fleeting approval. He'll skip the gym because she wanted to talk. He'll ignore his goals to chase comfort. He'll lower his standards to avoid being alone. But when you begin to respect yourself, your focus realigns. Purpose becomes the centerpiece of your life. Not validation, not women, not distractions. You start showing up for yourself, not because anyone's watching, but because you finally see yourself as worthy of discipline. You build routines. You chase goals. You stay committed to the vision. And ironically, that's when people begin to notice you the most. Not because you were loud about your grind, but because your growth became undeniable. The weight you carry changes, and so does the way the world moves around you. Some will respect it. Some will resent it. But none of it will shake you. Because now, you're no longer living for applause. You're living in alignment. 4. You embrace solitude instead of fearing it. One of the clearest signs that a man respects himself is how he handles solitude. When you lack self-worth, being alone feels like rejection. You tolerate toxic relationships just to fill the silence. You chase attention just to avoid being forgotten. But the moment you begin to respect yourself, solitude becomes sacred. You no longer fear being alone, because you've tasted the peace that comes with your own company. You stop looking for someone to complete you. You realize you were never half to begin with. And here's the irony: the more whole you become alone, the more magnetic you are to others. Why? Because people are drawn to men who are complete, not needy, not clingy, not desperate, but grounded, present, and self-assured. That's what self-respect builds. 5. You become the standard, not the option. When you respect yourself, your energy shifts, and people can feel it. You stop overgiving. You stop begging to be chosen. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never built for you. Instead, you start walking with presence. You speak with clarity. You move with purpose. And suddenly, people who once took you for granted start paying attention. That woman who kept you as a backup starts wondering why you're no longer available. That friend who only hit you up for favors starts realizing access to you isn't guaranteed. And most importantly, you start seeing yourself as the prize, not in an arrogant way, but with quiet certainty. You no longer audition for people. You evaluate. You no longer chase, you attract. Because now, you've become the standard. And once a man becomes the standard, the entire game changes. Distant. It's about finally treating yourself with the same loyalty, attention, and effort you used to give away so freely. When you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself, everything begins to shift. Your peace, your power, your presence. And if you want more videos that speak to that version of you, the man who's rebuilding himself from the inside out, watch our recent upload, When You Stop Caring. She starts noticing. You'll see how letting go of emotional dependency is a major turning point in your self-worth journey. What was your turning point? The moment you decided to finally respect yourself. Drop a perfect score in the comments if you're on that journey, or share your story below if you're open to it. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you turn on the notification bell so you never miss a reminder of the man you're becoming.